Hello and welcome once more to Red Gaming Tech. My name is Marta. Today is still the 18th of December and I'm here to give you yet more daily gaming news, this time from Tomb Raider, as Crystal Dynamics has spoken on the definitive edition a little bit in defense of the new version of the game during a question and answer session on the IDOS forum. And the Crystal Dynamics executive producer Scott Amos insisted that the definitive edition was more than, quote, only a facelift. Now, one participant on the forums called Fission questioned whether the definitive edition's full price was justified and called it a, quote, facelifted version of the same game so soon after release of the original. The lack of extra content, especially for the single player, makes it hardly worth it. And naturally, Scott responded to that saying, quote, "It's a great question, and while I don't control sales or prices, what I do know is that Tomb Raider is an awesome game. It has received many nominations and has an amazing fan base that keeps us striving to always deliver the best and always pushing ourselves to do even better. If it was only a facelift and we were only reselling it on the same platforms we'd already shipped it on, I would see your point. But as we're selling it on a new platform with a lot of development work put into custom craft it for the new platforms, with the new additions for the aesthetic, the physics, the particles, the lighting, taking advantage of the next-gen features, so I absolutely stand by our decision to offer up Definitive Edition the way we are." Now, as most of you probably know, the Definitive Edition will be coming out on the PS4 and Xbox One on the 28th of January in the US and Europe on the 31st. It will include some pre-order bonus tombs, which is the Tomb of the Lost Adventurer, plus a load of multiplayer DLC, and as well as some outfits for Lara Croft, as some digital copies of the Dark Horse Comics Tomb Raider, The Beginning, and some art books as well. And of course, voice commands are both supported on both versions, as well as the DualShock 4 being lit up when you use the torch within the game. However, it's the graphical improvements that most people are concerned about. Now, the Definitive Edition, which was supposedly built within a year by Crystal Dynamics, Sleeping Dogs developer United Front Games and Nixies, has had a graphical lick of paint and also features a tweaked version of Lara Croft's face. And of course, as I discussed previously, it will be bringing the AMD Tress Effects technology for her hair to the console versions. Now, Scott Amos continued saying, quote, "We'd love for every Tomb Raider fan to get to experience it on next gen. We are definitely looking to draw in those folks who may not have experienced it yet on the last generation so they can experience this version on next generation. But even for existing hardcore fans, we are confident in the offering we have as an excellent enhanced experience above and beyond what we previously provided. We wouldn't bring it to you if we felt otherwise. You are the reasons we do what we do." And other work has been done to the game, which includes some improved geometry and texture, but Lara has been given the most attention. Special materials were added that dynamically change when she wades through the mud, she gets blood on her, and when it rains, and so forth. And when talking on the Tress Effects technology, Amos explained, quote, "It was custom written and optimized for Lara this first time out for us on next gen, as we hadn't ever done it before on consoles. The amount of extra work, 3 studios and a full year of development have pushed the boundaries beyond just Tress Effects and upgraded textures. We now have a new particle system, new lighting work and enhanced shadow casters, a ton of more visual storytelling elements, more debris, more details on walls, more density in the environment for vegetation, upgraded characters, and we've also put all the DLC materials into this version for both PS4 and Xbox One. A few of our engineers were dedicated to improving physics both on Lara and in the world. A few quick examples. Lara has equipment on her that she acquires as she goes through her adventure. The climbing axe, her radio, her bow and a quiver of arrows, etc. All of these now have subtle but simulated physics on them as she runs, jumps, falls, stumbles, and they react accordingly, giving her more grounding in the world. Then there's the world itself. We added so many objects, plants, trees, and then wind and weather effects that also have physics simulation built into them to react with each other. When we make trees and leaves sway or flutter, cloth flaps against light or heavy winds accordingly, particles and Lara's Tress Effects hair will drift according to the direction of wind impact. All in all, it adds a great additional depth and realism to the world. Now, they have confirmed that both versions will be running at full 1080p resolution, although they haven't really said much about the frame rate, and on this topic Amos said, quote, I'm not quoting a frame rate as we're still optimizing the game. Even today, even this close to a final, we still have teams actively squeezing out everything we can generate the best experience possible. We will happily talk more about our final end results in January once we're totally done. And they have rewritten the back-end architecture for the multiplayer, so lag will be reduced on the new versions. So it does sound like they've put in a ton of work to improve the graphics and textures and physics and so on for the console versions. However, I'm still curious as to how it's going to compare to the PC. And I still wonder about the AMD Tress Effects technology that was so ridiculously GPU heavy that it makes me think, I don't know how they're going to optimize it that well, because of course when it was first released it completely destroyed Nvidia cards, as of course it's AMD technology, and of course Nvidia had to do an update, so it obviously has the potential to completely stomp a good GPU just if it has the wrong drivers or what have you. Now of course it would have gone through some optimization, and both of the consoles are using AMD technology. It just makes me curious as to how it's going to compare directly in terms of the PC version, not just in terms of Tress effects, but for the textures, physics, and so on. I would love to see a direct comparison just to see the improvements there. Even if you only compare it to the previous console versions, it sounds like there's going to be a large improvement, but I think most people's concern is the price. It's going to be $50, and well, that is a bit much to pay considering this game has already been out for a while. Yes, they've made a ton of improvements. They've worked a year on bringing this version. I'm not saying they shouldn't charge a good amount for it, just maybe consider doing it for, like, I don't know, 35 or something like that. That stings a lot less than 50. Of course, they're probably not going to be listening to me, but just throwing it out there. Anyway, that is me done for this video. Hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.